Hello and welcome to TD's Pokemon Lair. I'm TD and this is my lair. Today we're unboxing a box of 10 Pokemon cards I sent to PSA a little while ago. Got them back in this box, professionally packaged. Let me get them out of this box and we'll see what grades I get. Alright, let's go. Check out this 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Computer Search, a trainer card, the 101st card of the set. Looking at the front of this card, I like what I see. There's no scratches, creases, or bends. Our centering from top to bottom looks really close to the tolerance. Our centering from left to right looks a little to the right, but I think that's within the tolerance. Looking at our corners and edges for any damage, I did not find any. Flipping the card over and looking at the back, our surface is very nice. There's no, and so are our graphics. There's no scratches, creases, or bends. Looking at our centering from top to bottom, to me it's a little towards the top, but could be within the spec of the back. Our centering from left to right looks a little to the left, but also could be within the spec of the back. Looking at our corners and our edges, they're actually really nice and clean and free of any damage. And this trainer is going to get a grade of Gem Mint 10. That's really darn good. Let's look at this 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Imposter Professor Oak, a trainer card, the 102nd card of the set. I like this card. It always makes me smile that there's an imposter. Looking at the surface, there's no scratches, creases, or bends. Looking at our centering from left to right, to me it's a little to the left, and top to bottom centering looks a little to the top, but all that could be within the spec for PSA. Looking at our corners and our edges, I do not see any damage. Flipping the card over and looking at the back, our centering from left to right is towards the right, and centering from top to bottom I think is a little bit towards the top, but I think that's within the spec. Looking at our surface, there's no damage like creases, bends, or scratches. Looking at our corners and our edges, it looks like those two right corners have some slight damage on their right edges. And that's going to get us a grade of Mint 9. That old card got a pretty good grade. Here is a 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Item Finder, a trainer card, the 103rd card of the set. The front graphics are very clean. There's no scratches, creases, or bends on the surface. Our centering from left to right and top to bottom I think is all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, they are very nice and free of any damage. Let's take a look at the back of the card, and our surface is very clean. There's no scratches, creases, or bends. Looking at our centering from top to bottom, I think it's slightly towards the bottom, but I think it's within the spec for the back of the card. Side to side centering is within the spec. Looking at our corners and our edges, I do not see any damage on them. And this trainer is going to get a grade of Gem Mint 10. I like it a lot, and this card deserves that grade. We're looking at a 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Lass, a trainer card, the 104th card of the set. The colors on this are very vibrant. There's no scratches, creases, or bends on the surface. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right I think is all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, I do not see any damage on the front of this card. Let's flip it over and look to the back, and we'll start with our centering from left to right and top to bottom. I think left to right is within tolerance, and so is the top to bottom. Our surface is free of any creases, bends, or scratches. Looking at our corners and our edges, the two left corners and that upper right corner all have some slight damage. And the grade we're going to get is a near mint 8. That's not too bad for that card. Let me show you this 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Pokemon Breeder, a trainer card, the 105th card of this set. As we look at the front of this card, it's very clean. There's no scratches, creases, or bends, or dirt. Looking at our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think those are all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, they're really crisp and clean and free of any damage. The back of the card is looking just as great as the front. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think, is all within the tolerances. Our surface looks really clean. There's no scratches, creases, or bends. Looking at our corners and our edges, they're actually really nice and clean. I like what I see. And the grade we're going to get is a grade of Gem Mint 10. This is a great card. I like it a lot. You're looking at a 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Pokemon Trader, a trainer card, the 106th card of the set. This one looks very clean. There's no scratches, creases, or bends. Looking at our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think those are all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, they are very nice and clean and free of damage. Let's turn this card over and look at the back, and we'll start with our surface. There's no scratches, creases, or bends or any other problems on that card. Looking at our centering from left to right, I think that's within the tolerance. Centering from top to bottom, I think it's to me it's a little towards the top, but I think it's within the tolerance for the back of the card according to PSA. And looking at our corners and our edges, they're crisp and clean and look great. And this trainer is going to get a grade of Gem Mint 10. That's pretty good. I'm not sure I agree with it, but that's pretty good. This card is a 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Scoop Up, the 107th card of the set. This is a trainer card, and it looks really nice. I like the centering from top to bottom, left to right. I think it's all within the tolerances. Our surface and graphics are free of any creases, bends, or scratches. Looking at our corners and our edges, I do not see any damage on them at all. Let's take a look at the back, and I see that our centering looks pretty good from left to right. Top to bottom centering I think is, in my opinion, a little to the bottom, but I think that's within the tolerance for the back. Looking at our surface, I do not see any problems on the Pokeball graphics like scratches, creases, or bends. Looking at our corners and our edges, the only thing I see is that lower right corner has some slight damage. And we're going to get a grade of Mint 9. That's really nice for that card. Let's check out this 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Super Energy Removal, a trainer, the 108th card of the set. I like the graphics. They look great. There's no scratches, creases, or bends on the surface of the card. Our centering from top to bottom I think is a little towards the top, and left to right I think it's all within the spec. But I think the top to bottom is probably within the spec too. Looking at our corners and our edges, I do not see any damage. Let's flip the card and we'll look at the back, and our centering from left to right looks a little to the right, and top to bottom centering I think is within the tolerance. Our corners and our edges look pretty good, except that lower left corner has some speck of damage. Our surface of the card actually looks really nice. Does not show any damage like creases, bends, or scratches. And that will get us a grade of Mint 9. That's their story. We are looking at a 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Defender, a trainer card, the 109th card of this set. This card, I like it a lot. The centering from left to right I think is a little to the left, but within the tolerance. Our centering from top to bottom I think is towards the top a little bit and really close to the tolerance. Looking at our surface, I did not see any scratches, creases, or bends. Looking at the corners and the edges, I do not see any damage on them at all. Let's flip this card, and we'll start on the back with the centering from left to right is towards the left a little bit, and centering from top to bottom is towards the top a little bit. I think one of those may be out of the spec. Looking at our surface, it is clean and free of any scratches, creases, or bends. Looking at our corners and our edges, they're really nice and show no damage. And this card is going to get a grade of Mint 9. I think we were out of spec on one of the centerings. I'm showing you this 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Energy Retrieval, a trainer card, the 110th card of the set. Looking at this card, I like what I see. This surface is very clean, no scratches, creases, or bends. The graphics are bright. Our centering from left to right and top to bottom I think is all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, they're very clean and free of any damage. The back of the card is very nice and clean. There's no scratches, creases, bends, or dirt. Looking at our centering from left to right, to me it's a little towards the right, but possibly with the tolerance for the back. Our top to bottom centering is within the tolerance. Looking at the corners and the edges, they're very clean and free of any damage. And we'll receive a grade of Gem Mint 10. I like it a lot for that card. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and the cards I presented. Please like and subscribe, and always remember, you got to catch them all, and have a nice day.